Okay, so I'm here with Josh and Lewis, and we're here to discuss the championship. So, boys, the championship. What are your general opinions on the league? What is it good at? What can it improve?
I'd say it's competitive, like just like the Premier League. That's the thing about English football in general. Like the championships helped a lot of our players. When
Yeah,
it's developed a lot of the players in our team right now. Tamori, Mount, Abraham, just to name a couple of them. Um, I'm not sure where it could improve. Only thing is because second tier of English football in it, so it's
yeah,
already going to be at a lower level. So I can't really say where it could improve. It's competitive.
yeah.
That's the
Would you say it's that much lower than some of the European leagues because we've seen that they can match the attendances of all the teams across Europe.
some. Like I think I wouldn't say a lot of the top five leagues in Europe, but I'd say some of the lower European countries, if I'm being honest, because there is a big depth in class from
Yeah.
like let's say the western side of Europe to the eastern side of Europe in terms of the strength of the team. So I think the championship actually could be able to hold its own against a good couple
Yeah.
of the countries.
Okay, and Josh, what are your opinions on the championship?
I'd say it's probably the best second division in Europe, 100%. But I think it's not. It is competitive, but I wouldn't say the football quality is good. I think it's just entertaining and it's a good watch. Whereas, like when we went to watch like Malaga play, for example, they played like quite nice football to watch. Like they played this like a Spanish way, whereas in the football it's a bit more like
Do you
rough.
think it's potentially the championship is maybe like 5-10 years behind in terms of technical ability compared to other European?
I wouldn't
Second
say it's
divisions?
like 5-10 years behind. I think it's just the players that get brought in, like because you have to play a certain way in order to win, and it's like been proven. Like if you look at the likes of the teams that get promoted, like Sheffield United and those like Burnley, do you know what I mean? Like they have a certain way of playing with a certain
So
style of player, sort of thing.
yeah, I'd agree with that in the sense that it's the philosophy of the manager that gets you up, and it's got to be a certain way of playing to get you up. Something that hasn't been seen in previous years. That if they can get it right and get it to be completely different from anyone else, then it gives you the best chance of going up.
Yeah, I'd say one way it could improve is just investment from like the FA. Like the second division in Spain has VAR already. Like,
Yeah.
why is VAR not in the championship yet? Like it's an easy step to implement it, and it was just makes it easier as well for like referees as well. So that it's like across multiple leagues.
Yeah, I'd agree in the sense that VAR is needed in the championship, but I just don't think it's ready in its current form for the league because there's a lot of
Yeah.
decisions that we've seen in the Premier League that they've made, and everyone's kicked off about it because it's the minute little decisions that they make.
The referees referee it different abroad though, don't they? Like they
Yeah.
actually go to the monitor and stuff like that. So
Yeah. So I'm going to ask you now both a question of if the championship isn't the most entertaining and the best league in the world, what league do you believe to be the best league in the world in terms of football?
The other thing in a footballing sense, I would have said the Premier League, but this season it don't look like it because Premier League's been easy for Liverpool, and I think it's the biggest league right now teams had at first. And all the other leagues where it looks like for example, Serie A, where it was always Juventus. Right now,
Yeah.
they've got Inter and Lazio competing
Yeah.
against them. It's a lot tighter. Same thing in the Bundesliga. It used to always be Bayern. Now it's Leipzig, and I think Dortmund are now trying to catch up to them as well. So I'm not really sure in terms of footballing sense, but I still say the Premier League only because of how marketable it is. Like the money in the Premier League is probably more than any other league in Europe, maybe in the world by a mile. And I think that's probably just tips it to them.
Yeah, Josh?
yeah, I'd agree with the Premier League just on the sheer fact of like the reason why it is a bit of a runaway this year is because the quality of the teams that we have. Like the best managers in the world are in the Premier League. Some of the best players in the world are in the Premier League, and like you always hear like Messi's being linked to the Premier League and stuff like that. Like it attracts the names, and that's why it is the best. In terms of the quality, it's like been very hit and miss this year, especially. I feel like a lot of teams are trying to improve, like the likes of United, the Chelsea, the Arsenals. The usual top four is not the usual top four anymore. and they're all trying to get back to the stage of where they once was, and that's probably why maybe the quality throughout is more lacking, whereas we like now have 1 or 2 teams that are like really outstanding.
Yeah, so I'm going to disagree with both of you. And I know it sounds a little bit biased, but I'm going to say that the Championship is the best league in the world. From an entertainment perspective, in that every single week you cannot guarantee your team's going to win, and you cannot guarantee any team in the league's going to win. You've looked at previous years, you've seen where that year Reading got in the playoffs 16-17, we finished 3rd, the year before we finished 20th. Like every season it is something different, and it's all based on how you implement your manager's philosophy into the games over the season. And the sheer fact that although you may say the quality is low, players such as Ruben Neves have come up through the Championship, players like Dan James, we've got Bowen coming up at West Ham. I have to say that the quality
I'd
is
say
good.
it's the most exciting.
Definitely
Well, I'd say it's one of the most exciting. I give you that.
The playoffs are so good to watch.
Yeah, because you have
Yeah, the playoffs are mad. The playoffs are mad.
Even the games leading up to the last game of the season, you've got the final month where you've got like 5 teams going for one playoff spot, and I just don't see any other league in the world.
Yeah, it has
having
another
something
twist to it, because usually it's just a relegation or promotion thing,
Yeah.
or winning the league. So you got something different in the playoffs, but I can't say you're the best in the world. Here's the thing: it's a second tier of English football.
It's the second tier of English football, but it's the 3rd most watched league in the world in terms of attendance. So
That's a crazy stat.
it is a crazy stat.
So
and
we're doing their homework.
That's a crazy
I've
stat.
done my homework, don't you worry about that. I've got 2 Premier League fans.
But
and
that's
one
why I'll
Championship
give you
fan.
that's the most exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I feel like the attraction to watch the league is definitely there. Like, can't deny it. It's a lot less sanitised, I'm gonna say, than the Premier League.
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of atmospheres in the Premier League, and doesn't compete really.
That's
with
why I
the
love
other
them cup away days.
Yeah.
Not the league ones though, because they're midweek and they're hell to get to. Cup ones, good FA Cup away, we had it's like 3 hours to get there, but atmosphere's mad because you're kind of their cup final, innit?
Yeah.
So they give you their best. They sold out Hull City for the first time in 3 years for us. It was mad.
Yeah, I'll give you that one in the fact that Championship teams will always raise their game almost when they're playing their Premier League team, because it's almost like they feel like they need to prove to the rest of the country that they're capable of going up and competing with the Premier League teams.
Even pre-season.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah,
You
yeah.
see in pre-season, like
Still got 3
everyone's
goals
up for
against
it.
us.
Yeah, 3 goals against Chelsea for Reading. So
Well, we do ship them for fun, I will say that. So. Gave them 4 goals the week after.
No, but I was gonna say, like, there is good quality players in the Championship. Like, definitely, like, you can see more and more now, especially like homegrown players, which is good.
yeah, that's the thing, that the past few years we've seen the growth of youth team players making that step up, especially from the under 23s, that they've taken a step up into their Championship and they've just torn it up. And you see like Ben Rama from Brentford, he's come
He's
up and
mad.
he's
Class,
mad.
yeah.
You got the likes of Eze, Ejaria, they're all like players who have been at big academies in the Premier League, and they've taken a step down to the Championship and they've just thrived throughout. So from bringing youth up as well, you got to say Championship does deliver with youth players.
It's
Oh,
opportunity,
we
isn't it?
know all about that.
Okay, so we know the Championship is relatively thriving, although some clubs are in a lot of debt. My question to both of you is, if this Premier League Netflix, which they're proposing, goes through, how do we see the Championship being affected by this in every aspect?
I'm not sure, you know.
I think you'll see more televised Championship games, which is a good thing. So, because at the minute, that's one negative that I'd say about the Championship, is that you can't watch every game. Like, I know when you're trying to watch Reading, you're just struggling to find like a stream.
Yeah, it's a lot more difficult to find the Saturday 3 o'clock games, because we just can't get them televised at all. So.
Exactly. So hopefully it will mean more, like, for the likes of Sky and BT and that, just to hopefully bring like more games
So
to TV.
do you think in response to maybe them losing the rights to the Premier League, they'll take the opportunity to maybe use the Championship as a way to gain an extra source of revenue?
Yeah,
potentially?
100% start off with, because if they lose the Premier League rights, they're going to lose a massive amount of their income. But I don't know, like it's definitely an idea. I don't think it'll ever happen though, just because how much money is invested from Sky and BT and all these companies.
So maybe would it be the fact that they're talking about it could maybe kick them into gear and maybe start looking at the Championship as a more sort of better league to look at investing into, and that could be good for finances of Championship clubs too.
Because obviously, like the deal for the Premier League rights, it was like peaked and then it's coming back down now. Like it's not as expensive as it used to be, and that's probably due to the quality of the teams at the minute. Because you, like I said earlier, like you already have two good teams in Man City and Liverpool that are really outstanding, that can go far in Europe really, whereas like the rest are just fighting for like fourth. It's like the fourth battle.
You've seen this season the Premier League teams have done relatively well in the Champions League anyway. So you could maybe argue that the whole quality of the lower half of the Premier League has gone up as a result of the Championship playing its part in being so competitive.
True. You got Sheffield United. I think Aston Villa is like almost certain to go down, because without a couple of key players, say if Jack Grealish got injured, they'd be screwed really.
Yeah, it's
same as Norwich and Pookie.
And it does show that the Championship's a very difficult league to get out of, because I think there's a stat that says only 20% of the teams that go down come straight back up. It's a very small number of teams that actually go straight back up. So it does show how competitive it is.
I just feel like they all. It sounds bad, but they're all just as bad as each other in a way. There'll be the odd team that has the one good player like Timu Pukki or whatever, and then he'll carry them to glory. Like that's how I personally see the Championship at the minute. It's not so like it is competitive and stuff, but I think it's more so because they're as bad as each other and not because they're as good as.
Right. So we were just talking about how. That you thought that the quality wasn't that high. I disagree with you, and I think it's been seen with Sheffield United that they've come up from the Championship or even League One the season before. They've come up and shown their quality. They've done it really well, and they're up now, like within 2 points of Chelsea now.
Yeah, so thanks for the reminder.
Yeah, just remind you of that one. Like it does prove that the Championship has that quality.
Yeah. I think there's like the off case, like you said, like with Sheffield United and then like Wolves, but there's always a reason behind. Like it's not the quality of player. It's like, for example, it's Chris Wilder, because he did it. He's done it every single time. He took like Northampton from League 2 to League 1, and that is an absolute achievement, because they are so shocking.
Yeah,
and like with Wolves, they got massive investment. They have a good coach. Do you know what I mean? Like there's always caveats.
I don't think there is. I think that it does show that there's high quality. You look at in the case of Brighton, they've gone up and they've been managed so well, but not by just one manager. They've gone through Houghton. They're now with their current manager they have now, and they're still doing well. And you can see that with Burnley as well. They've got a philosophy of playing. It works in their Championship, and it's kept them up so far in the Premier League for 5-6 seasons. And you have to argue that the Championship maybe does have a lot of quality, because you saw this season as well, Middlesbrough drew to Tottenham in the Cup. They got a replay out of that. They played really well and arguably could have won that first game. So
the only thing I'd say about that is like, why aren't, if it's down to like there's quality in teams, why aren't Leeds getting promoted? Like why aren't Stoke getting promoted? These teams that have come back down, why are they not going straight back up? Because they have the players. Like, do you know what I mean?
They might have the players, but you need to work together as a team. The psychology in the Championship is genuinely unbelievable. Leeds have been branded as bottle jobs for as long as I can remember. And it always gets to about this time in the season, February, March time, and they just fall apart. And it's not because they haven't got the quality. You can see they've got the quality. Last night, even against Brentford, they dominated that game. They had like 60% possession. But it's that mentality, it's that one mistake that they make, and that can spoil a game, it can spoil a week, it can spoil a month. And as a fan of the Championship, I've seen it happen far too many times, to say the least.
Yeah, it's good.
So, getting back onto the question, Premier League Netflix, how is it going to affect the Championship? Is it going to be positive or negative, Lewis?
Well, I actually think it could be a bit positive, because I mean, you lot touched on it earlier. It's going to be a lot more marketable, and I think that's not going to be Premier League football on terrestrial TV anyway, and they're going to need to replace it with football. And the Championship already gets a decent amount of advertising going its way. Now there's more room for it, and you're saying it's one of the most exciting leagues in the world. Then there's a lot of content that I want to use, and there's a lot of content that's going to keep growing. The Championship it might take a hit at the start, but I don't see why it would do much damage.
I think the financial positioning of these clubs, I think maybe it would be welcome for Sky and BT maybe to almost like battle a bit more for the rights to it. So it could be a good thing, but it could also go completely the other way, and it could just cut off the Premier League from the Championship, because you've seen if this Premflix happens, it gains much more revenue. You go from a $3 billion deal to a $30 billion deal.
But then wouldn't that? It might cause a bit of a disparity halfway through the league, but wouldn't that still trickle down to the Championship in a way? Because 3 clubs are still going down and 3 clubs are going up every year.
You want to hope it does, but you also want to make sure that it doesn't create that gap between top tier Championship teams, lower level.
Yeah, cause that
teams.
probably would end up happening a couple years down the line. But I still think, because you guys would end up getting the majority of whatever's left with Sky and BT. And I think that will work in your favour. The football in general just keeps getting more and more money flooding into it. And I still think the Championship would grow, probably nowhere near as much as the Premier League would grow if it gets that Netflix deal. But I still think you lot would grow. And then you got to compare it to Europe. Because then you got more of a say in the transfer market against those European clubs.
So maybe it puts England as a whole country with 2 whole leagues in a better financial position than potentially
look at
Europe.
Wolves, for example, because I swear they had that thing with Jorg Mendes.
Yeah,
and
so they had that super agent.
They just bankrolled Wolves and they went straight up. It could start happening with your clubs.
It could happen. There's a lot of very rich owners in the EFL, and it's kind of gone under the radar a little bit. The richest owners in the EFL, owners of Barnsley and QPR, like they've got the richest owners in the league by far.
QPR?
Yeah, Reading's owners are billionaires. Like, there's a lot of rich owners, but it's a lot of constraint because they can't get that revenue in from the TV and broadcasting deals. And like you said, financial fair play does take a big part of that.
I still just think, though, there's only more money to be made out of football.
Right, so to round up, the Championship is the best league in the world and nothing else can compare. Am I right?
On your own, pal.
On my own.
No, but your channel, so let's do this.
You know, so thank you for watching. Please like, comment, subscribe. Subscribe to Lewis's channel as well. I'll leave that in the description below. And I'll see you later.